From Scripps Sports, this is Bobcat Insider, sponsored by First Interstate Bank.
We're into our fourth week of Big Sky play. We've got 6 weeks in the march on to Boise, and the Bobcat basketball teams are a combined 11-1 in conference play. Hello, everybody. I'm Keaton Galogly alongside our new co-host, Tony Wetmore, before we talk to head coach Matt Logie and head coach Tricia Binford. But, Tony, first and foremost, welcome to Bozeman.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. I came from Connecticut, so a little bit far away. Did my undergrad at Oklahoma State University, so getting my cowboy hats back out for Bozeman, so I'm very excited about that. Did my master's at Quinnipiac University, a small school that's also blue and gold, and the Bobcats, so very familiar with that sentiment.
No doubt. Well, we're excited to have you here, excited for everybody to get to know Tony a little bit as we kind of dive into things. And boy, that first Saturday here around Bozeman, that was a heck of a day.
Yes, every Saturday is like that, right? It starts with a parade, of course, I assume, every game, but how was that parade and that experience?
Yeah, it was pretty powerful. I had the opportunity to MC that for Bobcat fans, get on one of the floats with some of the assistant coaches, and I'll tell you what, Tony, getting an opportunity to just talk to Bobcat fans in the stadium, it was a really powerful experience and cool to see everybody come out and then really fill up the brick later in the day.
Absolutely. It was an incredible atmosphere, and I loved seeing the brick get full for both women's and men's games, and what an honor to just be there and see that banner drop for the football team.
Absolutely. So they did the banner drop at the women's game, both banners for the championship in the conference as well as the national championship, and then after that they paraded all 4 of the big trophies around during the men's game. But Tony, let's dive into men's basketball right now. So they're sitting at 5-1 in conference play. They just won an absolutely dynamic game against Montana on Saturday, and then a really gritty win on Monday against Northern Colorado. Seems like they're starting to find their stride.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you said, gritty. That's what this team is. That's their identity. And you have players like Davian Brown. You have players like Jeremiah Davis really stepping up and showing that they're hustling and they want to be here for the Bobcats.
No doubt. It was a 9-point win against Montana on Saturday, and then it was a 5-point win on Monday against Northern Colorado. Coming up this week, the women will be on the road while the men are home on Thursday night at 7 o'clock against Idaho State, and then 6 o'clock on Saturday against Weber State. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we've got head coach Matt Logie joining us on the Bobcat Insider.
Take coverage of the Cats with you. Download our mobile app today. Welcome back to Bobcat Insider, sponsored by First Interstate Bank.
We're back on the Bobcat Insider. Keaton Galogly alongside head men's basketball coach Matt Logie as we get set for another couple of games at the Brick for men's hoops. Coach, first and foremost, how you feeling? We're kind of right in the thick of things with this 4 games in 8 days right now.
Yeah, this is one of the busier weeks of our conference schedule, and obviously coming off of big home weekend with Cat Grizz last Saturday, and then a very quick turnaround to Northern Colorado last night.
Yeah, it was a lot. And let's dive right into that Montana day, really. You had the big championship parade in the morning, women in the afternoon, and you guys at night. And, I mean, what an incredible atmosphere. What an incredible just game in general that was.
Yeah, I mean, it was an incredible day for Bobcat Nation. I'm a little jealous I didn't get to partake in all of the festivities because of our game day routines, but just a great day that really, I think, exemplified the power and passion of our Bobcat fans.
Well, we got to see that power and passion from your squad in this game. It was a little bit of that kind of slow start against Montana. Did it feel like everybody was just kind of a little juiced up early on in that game?
Yeah, we had a lot of guys playing in that game for the first time, and I think the excitement, gets to different people in different ways. And once we kind of settled our nerves and got to kind of playing the right way, things started to fall in our favor.
There were so many awesome individual matchups in this game. I think in the post, Tajon Sawyer is such an experienced forward against Chris Hodges, really his first chance to play starter minutes now in his career. What was it like watching those 2 guys battle on Saturday?
Yeah, 2 vets, 2 guys that have been around the block in college basketball. Tajon Sawyer's had a great career at Montana. Chris Hodges has been a part of 3 NCAA tournament teams at Wisconsin, and now getting an opportunity to really show what he's capable of. I thought Chris has done a phenomenal job defensively for us all year long, and just bringing a size and physicality to the defensive end, along with just an understanding of how to win.
Yeah, overall it felt like your defense was pretty good in this game. I mean, we saw Jeremiah Davis against Money Williams a bunch, and just overall it feels like that whole level of defense has continued to rise for you guys.
Yeah, I think that's been our calling card throughout the success that we've had this season, has been the way we make people uncomfortable, the way we take people out of their game plans and try to make them beat us in ways that they're not accustomed to.
Some of the guys that were hitting some big shots in this game, too, their first opportunities in this contest. I mean, Jeremiah Davis, big right corner 3, Davian Brown, Jed Miller setting a lot of those guys up. Had to be fun seeing some of these guys in their first Cat Grizz hitting big shots in front of a crowd like that.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Jeremiah's, really come a long way. Sat out last year with injuries, really worked hard on his game once he got healthy in the offseason, and you're seeing his confidence start to burst through. And, to come down and transition up one, under 3 minutes, around 3 minutes to go, and just step in with confidence and knock that down, I think shows the growth that he's made. And Davian Brown is another guy that has made a lot of big shots over the course of his career, but maybe not yet necessarily at the scale that you see in a game like that. And so for him to step up and play that way, especially having an older brother that's been a part of this rivalry and really knows kind of the fabric that goes into it, I know he really enjoyed the experience.
So you got this big emotional win, 6,000 plus at the Brick. That's a night game on Saturday, and lo and behold, quickly turning around again on Sunday, getting on a plane, getting ready to go against Northern Colorado on Monday. How'd you like your team's response after such an emotional win?
Well, I thought it was a really mature response. We got together at 8:15 in the morning the next day, watched the clips from the Montana game, reintroduced Northern Colorado, and then got on the plane at about 10:30 and got to Denver and drove up to Greeley. I thought our practice that evening was really dialed in. We had our best shoot-around of the year yesterday in preparation for that game, and I think that speaks to just the focus that this team has, the humility that they have, and understanding that there's another challenge in front of you, and the maturity to be able to do that and go on the road and beat a very good Northern Colorado team, I think says a lot about this group.
Well, let's talk about that Northern Colorado game a little bit. I mean, Northern Colorado's record hasn't been great, but we know they're as good as anybody in the league right now. It felt like that was kind of a tough matchup in some ways when they were playing two of their big men in Wisney and Shields on the floor.
Yeah, they've got a huge front court. Ironically, they have a better conference record against Big 12 opponents than Big Sky opponents, beating Colorado and playing Texas Tech very close. So you know that their ceiling is really high. They've been on the wrong side of a bunch of close games in this conference, which is really unforgiving. And so we knew we were going to get their best shot. And our guys really stepped up to the challenge and had poise at the beginning of the game when we didn't get off to a great start, really built a great run towards the end of the first half. And then we're able to carry that forward and protect the lead down the stretch.
Did kind of feel like this win against Northern Colorado on Monday was kind of one of those more durable, gritty wins. And obviously in the Big Sky, you got to be really, really durable. It feels like this team is both kind of durable in its X's and O's and kind of between the ears.
Yeah, I think one of the things that this team has really taken a step forward for our program is their level of execution. You work and work in practice, and you draw things up in timeouts, and when they're not executed in the game, it's frustrating as a coach because you're working on things that you have confidence in, but you're not able to actualize them and see them in the game. This group is putting our vision on paper, on film, and you're getting to see it play out. And so that's been a real joy for our coaching staff. They've been a very coachable group. And anytime you go on the road, it's going to be gritty, and especially when you're playing your second game in 3 days on the road after an emotional game like that. So I thought, their togetherness really showed, their toughness really showed, and our bench really stepped up. Jaden Stepp and Seth Ammonrood had really terrific performances.
Yeah, well, Seth Ammonrood had that kind of game-sealing rebound in amongst the trees, and really the rebounding disparity, if you look at the box score, wasn't great, but at the end of the game, some really key offensive rebounds from your team helped close this thing out.
Yeah, we were saying throughout the day, embrace the hard. Everything you want in life is on the other side of hard, and we just took us a while to get there, but in the last 4 minutes, the flip kind of switched, and we were able to get the key offensive rebounds for us. And it's no surprise that Northern Colorado, with the size that they have at the 4 and 5 positions, are going to out-rebound you potentially. I thought we got some tough bounces. We were close on some offensive rebounds ourselves to maybe mitigate that a little bit, but the resilience to make those plays down the stretch was a real positive sign.
All right, Idaho State and Weber State coming up this week on Thursday and Saturday. Just give us a quick something to look for against Idaho State on Thursday night.
Well, another really power-based team with a really dynamic point guard. They really have kind of an identity that matches their coaching staff. They run a lot of great half-court offense. They really like to slow the game down. They emphasize rebounding a ton and getting the ball inside a ton. And they've been playing very stout defense and had a good start to conference play. So very similar in some ways to what we saw against Northern Colorado.
All right, it's going to be a lot of fun, Coach. Appreciate the time and the insight.
I'll see you in the Brick this weekend.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, Tony rejoins us, and we'll start getting into what women's basketball has been doing throughout this week and on into the weekend on the Bobcat Insider.
Welcome back to Bobcat Insider, sponsored by First Interstate Bank.
All right, it's time to turn our attention now to women's basketball, which is sitting at 6-0, looking for back-to-back Big Sky championships. Keaton Glockley alongside Tony Wetmore one more time. And Tony, what a weekend this was for women's hoops. The defense continues to shine for the Bobcats.
Absolutely, and the Bobcats just continue to dominate. And as you mentioned, on defense, 32 turnovers forced against the Montana Lady Grizz, and then 25 against Northern Colorado. So just continuing to get in those passing lanes and deflect passes.
Boy, it's a lot of fun to watch the way they fly around on that defensive side of the floor. And of course, Addison Harris had a great offensive game against Northern Colorado on Monday. Now coming up here, Tony, Cats are back on the road. They've got the trip to Idaho State on Thursday, then Weber State on Saturday before they come back home.
Yes, pacing will be the name of the game for the Bobcats going on the road at Idaho State. Coach Binford will go more into that and more as we come back from break on Bobcat Insider.
Welcome back to Bobcat Insider, sponsored by First Interstate Bank.
Welcome back to Bobcat Insider. I'm Tony Wetmore, joined by Tricia Binford, coach of the women's basketball team. Coach, how's this week been going for you?
Kids have had a great week. Job's just to kind of focus on the process, continue getting better, and really it was great to be back in Bozeman, get our crowd behind us, and our crowd was absolutely fantastic this weekend. It was a great Bobcat weekend.
And this stretch of games started against the rivals, the Lady Grizz. In that game, a dominant performance from your Bobcats. What went into that game?
Well, I think just jumping on them from the start, I thought our defense caused a couple of turnovers. I thought we were really attack-minded. I thought we got our crowd into it really early. But just start to finish, it was a really complete game for this squad. And, yeah, I just very balanced. Jamison Phillip had an incredible game, but just really proud that they were able to get the crowd into it early and play off of that great atmosphere.
Yeah, and Jamison has been facilitating all season long, but especially these last couple games. Even as a first year, what goes into her being able to see the floor like that?
Well, I think, we've seen her for a long time, being younger sister of Dylan, and she's just always had an knack, great instincts on the defensive end, super quick, but on the offensive end, her playmaking ability just continues to grow every single game and sees everything. So her ability to hunt the paint, really be a playmaker for others. She's really getting a good balance of taking what the defense gives her. If they're kind of collapsing on some of our primary scorers, it opens up the lane a little bit more. If they try to take the lane open, she's going to find her teammates. So I think she's building a lot of confidence based on what her teammates are giving to her, and that's exciting to watch. And
then that crowd on Saturday, of course, also honoring the national championship at halftime, seeing that banner fall. What was it like to play in front of that atmosphere?
Yeah, it was incredible. It felt like the entire brick was filled, and the gold rush, just that element of all the gold in the arena is absolutely amazing. We didn't get to be a part of a lot of the festivities, obviously, with the parade and everything going on. We were focused on the game plan, but just to kind of kick that off, and then the parade, and then the men's basketball team having a great game. It was just a kind of full circle moment of just the Bobcat community coming together. It's one of the reasons, and we took a lot of pride in that. Just kind of we prepped the team of, you know, this is your state, this is your community, and not a lot of people have this, and our state does, and have tremendous fans to get behind our team.
And then not only that, just one day's rest going into another game against Northern Colorado. What did that Sunday look like prep-wise with such a short turnaround?
Yeah, well, the good news was we had already played them, so it allowed us on the one-day prep just to kind of walk through and kind of review the things that we had seen the first time around, things we wanted to get corrected. We felt like we had matured a little bit since the last time we had played them, and really wanted to put a full game together. You know, at their place, we kind of had a good lead going into halftime, and then they stormed coming back. Didn't handle clock management extremely well, so I felt like going into that, our kids were mentally prepared also to get our crowd behind us again and make sure that we got a complete game to finish the game well.
Anaya Hall scored all 10 of their points in the first quarter, and then you were able to slow her down, go into only 7 points for her the rest of the game. What was that change defensively guarding her? Yeah, I think the big assignment was just making sure we continued to battle, getting around her. She got some good positioning on us. We didn't have help side there. Ball pressure needed to improve. I'm like, there's, you know, a couple different factors that go into a kid getting open, but one of her most dangerous areas is the rebound, and we didn't have a very consistent night boxing out on the glass, so that's an area that we'll continue to strive to get better at moving forward, but she was definitely a team assignment. I think our kids locked into that in that second half. And speaking of locking in on defense, 32 turnovers forced against Montana, 25 against Northern Colorado. What has it been like just seeing them play and get into those passing lanes on defense? fans.
Yeah, it's kind of like you kind of feel it when it starts happening, like, okay, this is the Bobcat team that our crowd loves to watch. We kind of feed. Our frenzy is off of our defense. Spend a lot of time on our defense, probably a lot more time on our defense than most teams, and probably not enough time on our offense, and you got to have to make those choices, but that's who we are. So the benefit of that is we do spend a lot of time on transition numbers and playing off of getting stops, and our kids, the kids that we recruit, they take a lot of pride on that end of the floor, and so I think it makes it exciting for your fans, but it's also really fun for them. It gets everybody involved, gets your bench involved, because it takes everybody to make it happen.
6-0 in Big Sky play, top of the conference, especially with a young team like this who maybe hasn't experienced that before. How do you make sure that they don't get complacent and continue to focus?
Well, I think we have a really seasoned veteran staff that knows how to keep us where we're at, making sure that they're just getting better and everybody's staying ready and everybody's staying hungry. We have a very competitive group, and there's some quarters we'll come out of, or some games they'll come out of with a win, and nobody's satisfied, nobody's happy about it. So I think that's actually a really good place to be, as far as you want to celebrate your successes, but you know that this is a journey to reaching our peak and our best potential. We know we got a long ways to go there.
And now, after a long home stretch, you go on the road, you'll play Idaho State, you'll play Weber State. What can we look forward to seeing from Idaho State on Thursday?
Well, the big thing about Idaho State is they have a veteran coach who has a lot of success, and they defend extremely well. They also have a lot of experience. When they're doing the preseason polls, I was a little bit surprised they weren't picked as high as that I thought that they may be, just because they had all their starters back. That experience, they've had a lot of games together, a lot of great chemistry. They're very physical. So we know on the offensive end, we're going to have to really work for a great shot. And on the defensive end, we're going to have to disrupt them. There's a lot of action, a lot of screens. And this team crashes the glass very heavily as well. So I think that glass seems to be something we can continue to focus on with our group.
And against Northern Colorado, Addison Harris, 23 points. She was able to capitalize off of some of those turnovers and get fast break points. What went into her game and that switch from kind of a slower first half to a better second half?
Yeah, I think the first things that happened for Addie is we got some stops and steals early, so we got some transition opportunities. That Jameson, Taylor, some of our kids had some great attacks where Addie just ran the floor extremely well. That third quarter really probably played to our benefit. They were going on their third game in 5 days. We were on our second. So that we felt like that second half, maybe we could get some legs to get some things in the open court. So got Addie in space. That was the number one. And then I thought she was really intentional on her cuts off of the other players. So that also played through as well. But credit her. She had a kind of a quiet first half. We didn't get her involved very well. And she really came through down the stretch.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Coach. Keaton will rejoin us when we come back on Bobcat Insider.
Welcome back to Bobcat Insider, sponsored by First Interstate Bank.
Welcome back to Bobcat Insider for one final time. I'm Tony Wetmore, he's Keaton Galogly, and we have 4 games in 8 days. Keaton, what have you taken away from this stretch so far?
Well, it's a grueling stretch, and so far both teams are off on the right foot, right? Both teams are 2-0 through these first 2 games on Saturday and on Monday, and now the women are on the road with the men at home on Thursday and Saturday. But at the end of the day, when you're kind of getting through this stuff, the minutes that these teams are logging are so important. I know on the men's side, we've seen Jed Miller play 36 minutes. He looked like at one point he had battery acid running through his veins at that Montana game. Davian Brown's playing 35-plus minutes. These things take their toll. We'll see if the Bobcats on the men's side can have that conditioning to really rise to the top, while the women have a little more depth.
Yes, a lot of points off the bench for both games so far this stretch, and especially Tegan Erickson really stepped up against Northern Colorado and was able to get those big buckets in big moments, including the end of the first quarter, to make sure that lead was extended. So the women's team really has those fresh legs, has that ability to pull any person off the bench, and they can go in and make that impact quickly. Just hustle plays. Cadence Couture is always out there. You'll see her on the floor diving for every loose ball, doing what she can to continue to make points happen or make things happen on the defensive end for the Bobcats.
Yeah, no doubt. Coach Binford just a couple of weeks ago talked about one of the superpowers of this women's basketball team is their depth and their bench, and they're going to need that a ton as we continue to move forward. So the men, again, are at home on Thursday. It is a whiteout at 7 o'clock against Idaho State, and then on Saturday, Scripps Sports has the call against Weber State. All right, that'll wrap up this edition of the Bobcat Insider. For Tony Wetmore, I'm Keaton Galogly. We're back again next week.